1. Hey, everybody, it's Tony George, and it is AL Pennant time with my man, Sean Salisbury, host of the Sean Salisbury Show, and he's a hell of a lot more than an NFL quarterback. This guy knows sports inside and out, and on the Sean Salisbury Show over there at iHeartRadio, that show originates from Houston, Texas. And on top of that, Sean Salisbury, as he so eloquently stated yesterday, is an AL guy. Well, Sean, I'm an AL guy too, if you can see that right there, but we're not talking about my boys. We can't even talk about the Chiefs right now. Both my teams suck. But that being said, Sean is a lifelong 50-year fan of the Boston Red Sox, so a lot to talk about on the Sean Salisbury Show, I'm sure, regarding the AL pennant race. So be sure and get over to iHeartRadio and check it out. And some of the banter going on right now on his Twitter account at Sean Unfiltered, one of the best reads out there. And Sean, we've got your hometown team right now where you're located, the Houston Astros, currently plus 200 to win the World Series overall against all the teams, but plus 200 to win the World Series, taking on your Red Sox. They are plus 400. Both the Dodgers and the Giants are in front of them right now, but one of those are going to be eliminated tonight. That being said, as we tape this on Thursday, but to win the AL pennant right now in this series, Houston a minus 160 favorite, Boston plus 130. So Houston, the odds-on favorite to win this series, Sean. Game 1 is tomorrow. Pitchers really have not been stated yet. I want to pick your brain about that a little bit, which way you think Houston and Boston are going to lean. But the game 1 right now, without even it says listed pitchers to be determined, Houston is still a home favorite at minus 140. Your Red Sox plus 120. Total going to be 8.5, Sean.
Yeah, I would take a lot of overs in the series when it comes to runs because both these teams can rake, number one.
Yeah.
The guy who, even though it wouldn't be his turn to start, you keep an eye on Lance McCullers' forearm tightness MRI today. He's been their ace. He's a bulldog, you know, with no Verlander and no Cole for the last couple of years, and Verlander with his injury, and Greinke not, you know, Greinke may pull out. You may see him in Game 4 along with Odorizzi as the series rolls along. But the matchup situation, keep an eye on the McCullers thing. The series can change with this, Tony. I'm just telling you, this guy right now, aside from maybe Correa, and I know Kyle Tucker's playing well, but I'm talking about for what this team needs. The Astros can overcome losing an everyday player in their lineup for 2 or 3 games because they are so deep. I've said this for 2 years, and I listened to Adam Wainwright say it and Przinsky during the White Sox series with the Astros. I've been saying it. I think the relentless, and they exhaust pitching staffs because they are so deep. Kyle Tucker may be hitting in the 7 hole. He has, and it's 6 and 7 all year long. The dude was he player of the month. There's not a better 7-hole hitter on the planet than Kyle Tucker. The guy is one of them. I mean, he is the guy is living up to when they finally now being that guy the last 2 years, last year and this year. Phenomenal baseball player. And that's your 7-hole or 6-hole hitter. And if it's not him, the 7-hole hitter will be Yuli Gurriel. Guess who led the American League in hitting this year? Won the average title. Yuli Gurriel. So they are exhausting, man. You never get a chance to breathe. You just walk into the dugout's about the only chance you can breathe between giving the umpire your hat and your glove to check and then going and sitting down. Other than that, they wear you out. Now, on the other side of it is the Red Sox with Devers, Bogarts, and Martinez in the middle of the lineup. They're not exactly chopped liver in the way that Kike Hernandez is playing. So both of these teams, if you just said I'm taking the over in every single game, my guess is if it went 7 games, you'll never go broke taking a profit. That's number one. But keep an eye on that. I would expect the starting pitching. I'm trying to figure out, and I need to look at it when Nate Eovaldi's last start was date-wise, because if it's been 5 or 6 days, Eovaldi will start this series on the road in Houston. And for the Astros, I can assure you it's going to be Framber Valdez. He will start the game tomorrow night. That should be the lefty that takes them out against the Red Sox. And both teams deep. Red Sox, I mean, it should be the underdogs. They weren't even supposed to be here, Tony. You and I both know that. But great postseason chops. The Astros in their own, both teams love playing in their building, and the Astros with that roof closed, they get rolling and that momentum. I'm an in-game momentum guy, not a game-to-game momentum guy. I think it's going to be a hell of a series. And the McCullers' health, like I said, aside from Correa, maybe even then, considering this team's so deep at the plate, you can't afford that would end up being what, 4 or 5 missed starts by McCullers. That could change the whole course of this series. Thank goodness both teams can hit, because that's what's going to win this, I believe, unless one team gets a stop on the mound. I think the Astros, I mean, I know they're favored, they should be, but I would not. I hear a lot of fans say, oh man, grateful we got the Red Sox instead of Tampa. I'd be careful what you wish for, the way they're swinging the bat right now. It's going to be a hell of a series. I'll go even this far. The winner of this series, even with the Giants, the winner of this series, I didn't mean to interrupt, is going to go on and win the World Series. And that's even with the Giants and the Dodgers. That's how I feel.
Eovaldi's last start was October 10th when he went up against Drew Rasmussen.
So that'll be the 15th. We're close. If not, Chris Sale may be the guy you run out there. Yep.
Right.
Chris Sale will be number 2 in that rotation.
Yeah, Sale started on the 8th against Shane Baz there. So and a 14-6 Boston win, I might add.
Was that the game that Sale went in there and gave up 5 quick runs, unfortunately, and they pulled him out in 1 or 1 1/3 or something, and they ended up going on a win, possibly. I don't think. I believe
that was the one. Yes. Sale came in for 1 inning, gave up 4 hits and 5 runs.
So if he's Chris Sale, Cy Young type Chris Sale, different. The question is, can he keep his velocity up? There's so many ifs on pitching staffs. But one thing is that you're rarely in this series. If you're Eovaldi, maybe Fromber, if McCullers is right. Very few guys are going to be pitching into the 7th inning in this series, Tony. You know this is all about playing a little defense, clutch hits, and the long ball. But the Astros will put the ball in play a lot. The Red Sox strike out more.
Let me run a couple questions by you, Sean, because you're that's a good segue into what I wanted to run by you here. Concerns, especially if you're a Boston fan.
Okay.
Now, one thing that people need to look out for. Well, let me get to the question first, because we've got 2 teams here that are number 2 and number 4 in offense in the league. Between the 2 of them, they're averaging 10.64 runs a game. Defensively, they're allowing almost 9 runs a game. And Boston 4.7 runs per game. But I think you're going to see a lot of first 5 innings overs here, because the starters for Boston, a 6.0 ERA. And, Houston, their starters, 4.94. That's nothing great, but it's better than 6. But when you get to the bullpen, Sean, here's the problem. While Boston might have the edge in starting pitching here, when you get to the bullpen, they don't have the edge. Houston's bullpen last 5 games is better. So maybe they give it up early and they save it late. I mean, how do you see that unfolding, especially when it comes to Boston and that bullpen against this hitting lineup?
Yeah, and you're going to see a lot of bullpen and a lot of them taxed, Tony. You're going to go in. You may win a game and have thrown 7 guys out there, honestly, on a bull.
Exactly.
That can happen. I know this. If you're a bullpen pitcher and you think you've got a 7-2 lead in the 6th inning on either team with the quirkiness and the way that these guys hit in both these ballparks, I wouldn't blink, because you can blink and either one of these teams can tie it up like that. The Astros, again, going back to from starting pitching, even though you'd probably, Eovaldi at the top, but if Lance McCullers isn't there, the starting pitching maybe favors Boston, but if it does, not by much. If McCullers is in there and he's right, McCullers and Fromber, they don't have to take a backseat to Eovaldi or Sale yet. If Sale and Eovaldi are right, Eovaldi's the guy who can, other than McCullers, go dominate a game at 99 up, and the way and he's got great, for whatever reason, when the postseason hits in, this guy's got big balls, Tony. You know what I'm saying? He understands. There's something about him. Now, and I think there's major respect for both teams. Yes, the bullpen, you get back to the back end. If Graveman's like he was when he first came over in the trade, he stubbed his toe a little bit late down the stretch. But if you go Stanek, Graveman, and then Presley, who's been pretty damn lights out, that back end of the bullpen is pretty good. And you want to get there if you're the Astros. But in between Javier and will Odorizzi be in the bullpen? And what are you going to get from There is some Yimi Garcia. There's some talk, that you can score on it. And just like the Red Sox, these teams are going to live with hopefully getting some good front end starting, get to 6 innings, and then score. And you can't relax. So to me, that one game in the series, you get a great effort by your starting pitching and your bullpen. And quite frankly, the Red Sox bullpen did a pretty damn good job, other than the one when Tampa came back, of pitching around a pretty damn good lineup. The problem with this,
they did.
Let's say you get through. Think about this now. Here's how the 7 goes: Altuve, Brantley, Bregman, Alvarez, Correa, Yuli, Tucker, or Tucker Yuli. Okay, so let's say you get through the first 5 dudes that aren't having a day. The leading hitter and then Kyle Tucker, the player of the month. So you don't get a chance in the back end. You've still got to, sometimes you get to 7, 8, 9, or 8, 9. You say, okay, I throw strikes and move it around. The chances are that as long as I don't walk them and put them on base, we're going to be okay. Not this team, you can't. Kyle Tucker hit a home run. You're up 2-0 because somebody got on. So, and you could say that about Boston. There's some sneak in. Somebody in this series, Tony, whether it's Maldonado, whether it's somebody, Hunter Renfroe, somebody who you don't expect to be a hero is going to be a hero. We see it every year, right? And it may be a pitcher. So, yeah, the questions, it's a good point. I'm begging for some, somebody to get a few lights out innings pitching, but I don't know how hitting doesn't win this series. I don't see many 2-1 games. Matter of fact, the low end, if you're lucky to keep somebody under 4 runs in this series, you'll probably crawl 10 miles over broken glass for that. I love it, but man, is it going to be competitive. And if you miss on a pitch, these 2 teams make you pay in big fashion.
Yeah, it's interesting how this is going to play out in terms of when you get either one of these teams to the World Series, because both of them are good hitting teams. And let's just say that the Giants get over tonight. The Giants remind me a lot of when the Royals won it. They'll, if they score 3 runs, maybe 4, they're going to beat you 90% of the time.
They're dangerous.
How would that play out against one of these teams? Are them or LA that good at the plate where they can hold either one of these, Boston or Houston? I think it's almost impossible to hold them under 4 runs.
I do, but the pitching in the National League, think about what you roll out there, even if it's Scherzer and Walker Buehler, the way the kids pitching tonight, Logan, I'm losing my mind.
Logan Webb.
Webb, there you go. I mean, and the way that they've gone about their business, what you get in truth, even though you look at the lineup of, there's Evan Longoria and there's Buster Posey, but it's not a star power hitting lineup in San Francisco, right? Yet, no matter what the Dodgers did, they could go 40-20, and they couldn't gain but a game in the second half of the season. The Giants have been the best team, and you can't fake it out. You can't fake 162 games plus the playoffs. You just can't.
Right.
Yet the Dodgers, you look and you say, well, man, with Seager and Trey Turner and Justin Turner and Cody Bellinger, even though the list goes on and on of Mookie Betts, and you're like, but when you really look at the surface, the production, it may not be as good as the names right now. Bellinger has not had a good year, right? Yet I trust Justin Turner in the postseason. And at any time, Bellinger goes on a roll. So, and Justin Turner's a great postseason guy. So the truth is, what it comes down to is, I think the American League's the team you probably fear the most hitting. Both teams in the National League, you'd say, man, they're pitching, at least up front line pitching, and San Francisco's bullpen. And then you get to the Dodgers and, Chris Taylor. I mean, they can get hot. So I don't think it's going to be pitching by either team in the American League that wins this thing. If the National League's going to win it all, I think the pitch, if they say, well, we hold a team under 4, then they'll have a chance to win it. the truth is everybody should be chasing the Giants because they've played friggin' lights out baseball and they know
Yeah.
how to get you out and they know how to win. All four of these teams are really good, and they're going to have to win different ways. You're going to have to get, you say on the surface, well, shouldn't it be the Dodgers with Scherzer and Buehler up front, right? Yet,
Yeah.
well, we've seen people get to them, yet they can, hell, Scherzer goes out and throws a gem, they lose 1-0. Pitches 7 innings, they
Yeah.
don't score. So they
Yeah.
get shut down. So you're going to have a hard time shutting either one of the American League teams out. And I'm living on emotion saying I hope the American League wins the World Series. The truth is, if either one get it, in particular the Giants, I'm going to be scratching my head saying, if you screw up anywhere, they make you pay.
Yeah.
And it may be small ball. It may be Evan Longoria hitting the home run. It won't be the big star names every day that we talk about. It may be Chris Bryant, who's a fantastic player, but I don't know, man. The Giants, I know people still don't want to believe that the Giants are this good. If they get out of this and are able to pull off this win at Oracle against the Dodgers tonight, they will be the favorite when the World Series kicks in, although people love the Astros bats.
Yeah. At the end of the day, odds makers will follow the old school public. Pitching wins World Series.
That's exactly right.
In this case, that might not be the case this year. The one thing I will tell you, and you're going to go with Houston to win the AL pennant here, is what you're leaning?
I'm going with Houston as the favorite, but I think where my head's telling me one thing, and you know where my heart is, though, right? With the Sox. And I'm not counting them out. I think it's going 7 games. I do. I don't think anybody's running away with this series.
Well, one thing I can tell you, folks, watching this, and we're talking about the series pick here, and we're going to tell you to take more overs and take unders in this series. But the one thing I can tell you is in this game and what's going to go down between the Dodgers or the Giants versus Atlanta, let me tell you something. This is money line betting. I never lay over minus 150 on a favorite. When you get to this point in the season and you see an ace pitcher or a really good pitcher, when the Boston's at home, when they return back home, or Houston fires somebody up there that's hot, anytime you lay 160, 170, 180, 190 in these series, remember, nobody is here by accident. And on any given game, especially in the AL pennant race, where both these are hot hitting lineups, both of them, anybody can beat anybody, especially with a couple of suspect bullpens, especially late, Sean, because Sean brought up a good point. You get into the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th game in this series, those bullpens are going to be tapped and they're going to be giving it up. So you got to be careful laying big numbers in this thing, Sean, because anybody can beat anybody.
Tony, I'm with you 100%. Right now, looking at it, like I said, when I look at every single game that rolls up, even regardless who's pitching, honest to God, in the American League, I'm going to say, well, okay, let's say he gives me 6 good. Hell, the Red Sox and the Astros can roll 8 runs on you in 3 innings, and it doesn't matter what you run out there. So it is, and like I said, and you reiterated, let's say we're 2-2 in Game 5, and you got a 4-4 game or a 3, and all of a sudden you got a guy who's had to pitch 3 games in a row. Put your money on the bats. These guys don't miss much. The Astros do not strike out. They struck out 16 times in the playoff game when they lost 12-2 against the Sox. They haven't struck out 16. That's the most that's ever happened to them this year. I mean, they haven't been anywhere. They don't sniff that. They put the ball. They are always make you. They have anxiety. They are high leverage, and I'm not sure the pitching staffs for 7-game series from 1 to the end of the bullpen on a regular basis are high leverage everyday things. These are high leverage hitters that answer the bell. I would favor the hitters, no question.
Yeah. He's Sean Salisbury, folks. You can check out his takes on the Kansas City, Washington game in the NFL. And we've got a Big 12 football pick for you as well between Texas and Oklahoma. We did for you yesterday. They're on this YouTube channel here at Docs. Get that free $60. Link in the description below. I am 6-1 in the Major League Baseball postseason and have hit 43 out of my last 68 Major League Baseball plays. and I think 4 in a row with top picks in baseball. So I'm dialed in. And of course, I always got Sean on the text. As you can tell, he knows as much about baseball as he does about football, and then some, and a keen interest in this series. You can
Yes.
listen to, there'll be some rants and some raves each and every day on the Sean Salisbury show, because he's kind of got, it's an interesting dichotomy. You have broadcasting out of Houston and really you cover all sports nationally and all
Right.
subjects, but there's a little bit of a lean towards the Rockets and the Astros and the Texans and some of the connections you have and people within those organizations that you have on your show, and then the loyalty to the Red Sox. So I'm going to enjoy listening to you tap dance around all that, Sean, and make
And
sense
you
of
know
it, buddy. You
me,
got your hands
you
full.
know me. I got no tap dance in me. I'm coming out with a sledgehammer on both teams. I don't give a one damn, brother. Here we go. Let's
that,
do this. It's a postseason.
that that is why it's called Sean Unfiltered on Twitter. Give him a follow. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Enjoy the AL Pennant.